Hello, hello. Grown conversation about investing in potential, especially in men, versus personal equity building. I revisited a video today about, well, by the time you see this, it'll be a little bit later, but today as I'm recording this, by Black women making money. Shout out to Black women making money about whether or not Black women should consider men making $40,000 a year as potential mates. And I remember going through the comments again and seeing how men basically are dividing on this issue, Black men who commented on this. Now, there were a few people who commented who were very much like, okay, I understand the assignment. And I understand why women are asking for this given the current economy. And so as men, we can put work in and we can get to where we need to go. The skills are available. It's what we need to do. That was a minority, but they were there. Then you had the men who were like, okay, I'm willing to do that, but not for an American woman. Why would I hustle that hard in a country with women who don't respect me? I'm going to do that and I'm going to go abroad. And then you have the men who are like, well, y'all are missing out because one of them said Roustabout Ricky is making 35,000 a day, but he's going to get a certification and be making 210,000 later on. So I read that and I read the tenor of those comments and I thought to myself, it dawned on me because we've been talking about the ways to build personal equity. Something dawned on me because of this little mini series that we're doing here. Men, it's not just black men. You can actually go out and look at, English language and you can find other men talking like this as well, but the proportions are much different. Men want you to give them access to your body, your physical health, your DNA, your future lineage, your earning power, tangible items, all tangible. My physical body is kind of here, it kind of exists. Um, I'm 42, so probably will not be too many more years childbearing, but Black women seem to be doing this from 42 to 50 more often than others, so theoretically possible. Um, my earning ability, tangible, real. Remember, we talked about read the receipts. In step three of personal equity building, I'm not presenting my receipts publicly, but I have a track record. I'll talk a little bit about that a little bit later. Um, for him to have access to that based on what he may or may not do, because he could, but he also could not. This is a mismatch in understanding how building in a capitalist society, or really any society, works. See, your maybe for my definites is not a fair trade. And it's not a good investment for me to invest my definites in a maybe. And I realize this is part of the problem because Black women are, at least in the public sphere, doing a whole lot more with steps 1A, steps 1B, steps 1C, and step 2, which is okay, we understand, we built this out of Robert Kiyosaki. Stop saying I can't afford it. Instead, train your brain to say, how can I afford it? And we back that up with a little content creator, Lennon Honor. Shout out to content, a Black man who understood the assignment. This man went from 25 years to basic blue collar work, got married, started having kids, picked up 2 and 3 jobs, went back, got hired at a job that was willing to send him to school, went to school, just got his bachelor's of science, and is finally making the money he needs to make. Started out at 21, he's about 45 now. Now, we look at that today and think we should, a Black woman shouldn't even marry into that situation. But this was 20 years ago. And his wife was very young as well. They didn't know any better. They just worked it on out. She stayed. They have 5 children and they're still married. So that worked out. But the thing that he said that was so important that has become our step 2 is your past reasons may be legitimate, but they cannot be allowed to be your future excuses. That's step 2. The mismatch in values comes because we can't get past step 2, where Black men will come with their potential and why they haven't gotten things done to a certain date. And again, expect our tangibles, our physical, our time, our attention, our physical bodies, half of our, our contribution to our DNA to make children for them, and our earnings because we're expected to go 50-50 based on what? Potential. Potential. One gentleman went so far as to list what the global median is and what men and women are doing. And I'm like, all those are valuable reasons, but they are not an excuse for you not performing. But again, a mismatch. If you have one set of people who are really building their personal equity and one set of person that just wants you to accept the potential of what they may do later, that doesn't match. That's not a good investment. I realize that's part of the problem. What we have here is a failure to communicate. What we have here is also something that gets us in trouble when investing in traditional equities. Now, a little bit about me that you should know. I have invested in stocks, and I am presently invested in crypto and real estate. Humbly in baby bags, but still. I know a little bit about all those well enough to do things that are basically profitable. Nice double-digit returns. Now, when you have to do double-digit returns on small things, it's kind of frustrating. But hey, it's something. So let me tell you something. Crypto is very speculative. House flipping is speculative. I'll put the link for Groundfloor in the description for those of you who want to look at very small time, starting small time on investing in real estate. House flipping is very speculative and all, but less so than crypto. But here's what you do when things are speculative, and this is how we bridge the gap. Okay. A lot of investing, if you're not investing in, let's say, long established companies, blue chip stocks come to mind. And in crypto, I would say Bitcoin or Ethereum would be sort of the blue chip cryptos. At the top of my head, I don't know who you would even put it. Well, I would put Hive at number 3, but it does not have the age on it yet. It hasn't been through enough bull and bear cycles. I'd like to think that someday it will be a blue chip, but we don't know yet. But Bitcoin and Ethereum are the two blue chips, the two most likely to survive whatever the crypto market throws at it. Unless you're investing in established things, what you're doing is speculative. We don't know, just like technology companies in the early 2000s, we don't know how many of these will still be there. Yes, there are some of them that have really good potential, but here's how you bridge the gap between potential and actual investment, proper investment. Read the receipts, step 3. Is there a plan, and are the people running it people with a track record? In other words, have they done anything in life? Can they present you with receipts of something that they've done successfully before coming to you and asking for you to invest in it? Roustabout Ricky in this example from this comment. He's making $35,000 a year, but we're supposed to get with him now and hope that he makes it to $210,000 a year. Okay, so here's what we don't have for Roustabout Ricky. We don't have how old is he now? If he's 21, that's a whole different situation than him being 42, my age. We don't have time that this is supposed to happen. We don't know if Roustabout Ricky has a plan. The other thing is his nickname is Roustabout. Roustabout implies that he is spending a great deal of his money doing things that go into rousting about. That's not good. But we'll leave that for just a second. What do his receipts look like? If you were to go to Roustabout Ricky's job, if you were to go to Roustabout Ricky's social circle, what would they have to say about him? I do this kind of research. This is one of the reasons that I'm single is that I don't feel like taking on a personal project of having to research somebody up and down. I was a professional journalist. I will find a way to meet your friends, go to your church, find a way into your professional circle. I will do all this. And now we got to add on a background check. If you're dating in the Black community, why do you need to do this? Because 30 to 33% of 15 million Black men are convicted felons. You need to know that before you step out of the house. I'm sorry. It is what it is, y'all. It's not my fault that record exists. I didn't have anything to do with that, but it does. One of the reasons I'm not bothered right now, I'm happy being single, is because I don't have time to take on a personal research project of that size. But the point is, if you're going to be with anybody, you got to read the receipts. If you're going to do business with anybody, you need to read the receipts. If you're going to spend any significant, invest any significant amount of your time, and you could be doing step 1A and 1C, getting life coaching, getting therapy, getting mentoring, increasing your educational aptitude, building skills. If you're going to take any of the time you can spend doing that on another human being, you need to read the receipts. So Ricky is making 35,000. Is he presenting a plan? Do we know how long it's going to take him to get to 210,000? What are the concrete steps he plans on doing? And does anything in his past suggest that he has the aptitude to do it? In a 21-year-old, that's still a boy's daydream without a plan. In a 42-year-old, that's still a boy's daydream without a plan. In a 63-year-old, that's still a boy's daydream without a plan. Now, I'm willing to entertain the prospect that because of what has happened to Black men in society over the last 404 years, that it takes a little bit longer. I get that. But this whole question about what do you bring to the table, again, many of these men, and this includes men in prominent positions, I'm not just talking about romantically. You know, you go to a church and you hear people talking about the things that their church plans to do. You listen to Umar Johnson and his plan for a school. You listen to Black politicians and you get a lot of the same things from prominent men. Everybody has a vision, everybody has a dream. But again, boys daydreaming at every age because you have to read the receipts. How long is it going? What is it? How long is it going to take? What steps is it going to be broken down into? And is there anything in the track record of this person that suggests that they can do it? If you're 21, we don't expect that there's going to be a lot there. But what the 21-year-old needs to be doing is going to mentor, not with you. Men don't mentor with the people they have sex with, generally. Not with you. Not with a romantic partner, because he wants to impress you. He doesn't want you looking down on him. And if you're a mentor, you're a little bit ahead. Men do not do this with their romantic partners and the women they have sex with. So if he's 21 and doesn't have a track record, what you want to look for with him is he around men who have a track record? A good one. The stuff he's selling you, is he around men that are doing this who can guide him at 21? At 42, he needs to have a track record. Like I said, if I had to do it, I have receipts that can be read. Now, would any man see these things in less than a year? No. Maybe even, and only if he was seriously thinking about marriage. No. But here's the thing men want to be the leader. The leader has to prove his fitness to lead. His followers do not have to prove their fitness to follow, they just generally follow. See, when you live in a patriarchy, gentlemen, then you uphold the patriarchy because you want the benefits, then you got to deal with the other things that go with it. The other thing I find out is that so many Black men spend time talking about what men do, and I sit there and I read. I'm like, okay, you don't. Okay, you have not been exposed to what men actually do outside the hustle culture of the Black community. Men don't do certain things. No, male journalists do that every day. Men don't do, no, male military officers do that every day. It's just like if you have not been exposed, and see, that's the other thing. Who is the team? Who is around this man? Again, you have a vision to build a school. One of the ways we know that Umar Johnson is never going to build that school is because he refuses to have anybody around him who's actually already done it. If you follow this saga at all, you know that people keep telling him you need to do certain things who have already done this, keep telling him, hey, so and so is willing to talk to you. Here's something that you might consider doing. And he keeps rejecting them. So we know because his track record does not, his team does not include people that have done what he's going to do. And because we know enough of his life history to know that he is would be alone in his family in this endeavor, we know that he's not getting the guidance he needs to get, so he is not going to be able to successfully do this. We can know that by looking at the team. And this is the thing about potential. Potential to be a good investment needs a solid plan and a solid team. Most men who want women to invest in them, whether it be romantically or whether it be on an organizational level, do not ever want black women in particular to talk about this. Most churches struggle with this. Everybody is wanting a building fund to build themselves a new edifice. This was very big 10, 20 years ago. COVID stopped some of this because people can hardly hold on to what they have. But everybody's building a bit. And so when you get that bigger building, what's going to be going on in there that's better than what you have in the building that you have? Read the receipts. Is your church doing the stuff in the book of Acts and Romans and 1st and 2nd Corinthians and Galatians, Ephesians, Philippians, Colossians, 1st, 2nd Thessalonians, Titus, and 1st, 2nd Timothy, Titus, Philemon, Hebrews, James, 1st and 2nd Peter, 1st, 2nd, 3rd John, and Jude? Or is your church sitting up here in the church of Laodicea, which God says you have this big, I want this stuff, but you poor, blind, and naked, and I'm about to spew you out of my mouth. You make me sick. If that is your situation, does it make any difference? Your church is in Sardis. You have a name that you are alive and you are actually dead. If your church is like the churches of Sardis and Laodicea, it doesn't matter that you have a bigger building to put it in. You got to read the receipts before you invest. You got to read the business plan. And this is something that keeps black women making men rich. And of course, this is also now because so many of you, my divestment sisters, are out there. There are some content creators. I'm looking at white men who are on the rise, who are now having all this time and energy and attention invested in them. And I'm just like, do you see that you're being taken advantage of this very same way that you would take advantage, except that this man does have a plan. His plan is to come in here. He has no real investment. He said as much, but his plan is to get in here and build a channel and make money off of y'all. He does have a vision, and he's told you what it is, and he's working the plan. But it's the same foolishness because what you have not done is read those receipts and figured out, okay, what is my return on investment from doing this foolishness? And this particular content creator is growing because he's taking down black men on his channel. So basically, as a black woman following this kind of foolishness, you basically become the kind of woman who would go with the kind of man who used to watch Kevin Samuels humiliating black women for kicks, clicks, and views. Meanwhile, you need time and money and interest to do the things in 1A and 1C. And if you're in 1B as a Christian, you need to be studying the Word of God so that you actually know what your Father in heaven has for you. So you're spending time investing in people who have a vision that has no return on investment for you instead of doing things that have return on investment for you. Getting the coaching, mentoring, therapy, counseling that you need, investing in your soul salvation if you are a Christian, investing in any educational gaps you may have, and we all have them. Like I was looking at something today, I looked at the video just before doing this video, and I'm sitting up here like, I've kind of, because I do step 1B, my Father in heaven told me start doing this, and I didn't know if this could end up being me modeling what will end up being a 7-figure enterprise. Did not know that before today. But see, I was doing my step 1C, y'all, on YouTube. But some of y'all are over there listening to this white man treat black men like Kevin Samuels treated black women, and you have no return on investment, but you're investing all this time. And see, that's the other thing about potential. If there is no plan, if the plan is a bad one, that's that particular case. But if there is no plan and the team is not fit to do it, there is no return on investment, which is a nice way of saying you have wasted your time. In relationships, you are wasting your body, you are wasting your lineage, you are wasting your money, you are wasting life that you will never get back. And you will end up holding the bag, having to clean up after this person has gone on their merry way to go con someone else. How many black women do you know who have been left raising a child that a man has abandoned? How many black women that you know have lost time and earnings they will never get back behind some man? It's too many. Now, does that mean these women are ruined? We already did that video. No. But it does mean that we have to look at what are the behaviors of investing in potential in terms of not looking for the plan, not looking for the receipts that show that this person can do any of this. If you are a woman that wants marriage, you probably only need to ask a few questions on 1 or 2 dates at best to find out if that man wants to be in that seat. Now, here's what you look for receipts on a marriage. The person may never have been married before if you're young enough. In the black community, age doesn't even matter. But do you see that this person has physical discipline over themselves in many significant ways? A person who is promiscuous will carry that habit into the marriage. You know, these men who have been out here having all these baby mamas and all this sex and all the rest, they want black women to believe that they're just going to stop. No, the only way a man like that stops is when he's not physically capable. But you should not be so desperate for a man that you want one who's broken down there just to have one in old age. Remember what the lifespan is looking like. Officially 70, 60 to 70, 66 to 72, well, your lifespan will be 75 to 81. Unofficially, that number is coming down to 55 to 62. And if anybody has a problem with that, tell me any manosphere figure that's made it to age 60 versus the ones that haven't. And tell me where that number averages out. Men who make good marriage partners are men who are consistent in every area of their lives. They're not living for their lust today, and you can see that they put time in on things that they have built. You look at their relationships with other people, they know how to build a long-term friendship. They have people that speak well of them. Every man that I have ever dated and spent significant amounts of time with has that kind of track record. I don't waste my time. Even my platonic male friends have that kind of track record. Because I don't waste my time. I am that kind of person. I'm not looking to be with someone in business or in romance that does not know how to be consistent, that does not know how to make successful moves. I'm simply not interested in that. It's a waste of my time. I'm now 42. Even given the longevity of my family in general, if we're not at the halfway point, we're getting close. So half of my life I've spent doing things that build things. Y'all see how relatively consistent I am here on YouTube. This is a part of who I am. I'm looking for return on investment for the people I'm with. So if I put in time, I need to see that that time is going to bear fruit and be valuable. So I will be reading receipts. I will be looking for people that have plans to build things up in the future. And I will look at how well they have done things in their past to see if they are capable. If I hire someone online, I'm out here reading their reviews. They need to have more than one. They need to have more than 10 in general. And I'm looking at what people said about them, what their strengths and weaknesses are. You need to come with a track record. This is how you bridge the gap. I'm not saying that potential is not important. To a certain extent, all of us are in potential. This YouTube channel is much more advanced than it was even a year ago because I've been able to add some of my art to it, and I'm planning to expand it out a little bit more. I am doing more things on, I'm doing a few more things on Hive, 3Speak, and coming up Cast Garden, but we are more advanced than we were at this time last year because we are tackling deeper topics, and we have moved on into new playlists. We are looking at this little mini Substack about building personal equity, and we are also looking at cryptos. So we are building extra things to bring more value. This is how I roll. This is how anybody who wants to roll with me has to roll in their life. Because again, men will daydream like little boys to old age if they are allowed to do it. One of the saddest things that I notice, it's not something that makes me angry, it's just something that makes me sad. When you meet black men 55 plus who are, well, make it 45 plus, because that would take the late Patrice O'Neal, David Carroll, and Kevin Samuels, and that would take them up. Men who still have their daydreams and trying to impose it as if they are gods on the rest of the world, with their fictional calendars drawn from fictional shows in which a fictional winter never leaves. Although I'm looking at my good Gregorian calendar, and you're going to see this on February 28th, which tells me that winter only has 3 weeks left. And you get down to the end of your life and you realize that none of the smack that you were selling had any relationship to what happened to you. And that women were not puzzle pieces, they were not pawns, they were just not things for you to move around, but they happen to be human beings with their own agendas. And that did not always have anything to do with what you wanted to fit them in with the daydream. That is the saddest thing ever. David Carroll died alone. The only reason that he found a grave at all is because his sister. Now, remember how much this man just despised American black women. His sister had to make sure that he got buried. Kevin's mother had to make sure. The woman that he was with did not even go to the hospital with him. So if he wasn't dead when he left the apartment, he died away from anyone who would have helped, who knew him and cared about him. That's actually very sad. It's not something that I take pleasure in. It's something that I want all of us to avoid, which is why steps 1A, 1B, 1C, step one is so important. Fill in whatever gaps that you may have. Because, like I said, to a certain point, all of us are in potential. And step two of not letting the reasons of the past be the excuses of the future. And step three, reading those receipts and redirecting resources to doing the things you actually want to do. And then step four, actually beginning to plan for a thriving future and repeating steps 1A through 3 until you have the building blocks in place. Anybody can do that. There is a bridge from potential to realizing the potential. Now, I am not on a page of some of you talking about manifest your future, put up a vision board. I don't do that because the Bible does not give me the sense that I should do that. But here's what the book of Proverbs says: be diligent, get your work done. The book of Psalms says, commit thy way unto the Lord. A little bit earlier, it says, delight thyself in the Lord, and he shall give thee the desires of thine heart. So I know what the Lord has for me to do because I have put the time in knowing what it is. And as I take care of his business the way he wants it done, he generally takes care of mine. I've never known him to fail. I have failed. He hasn't. But I know from the book of Proverbs, the book of James, let him that steal no more, but let him work that he may have to give to him that needeth. Not only will you have enough in God's program to provide for yourself, but to be able to help someone else. I know that that's the plan. This is how you bridge the way from what your potential is to your actual. If I met a man making X and he could show me that he had a plan to make Y, because I'm a public servant by inclination, if he had made that X an honorable way, servicemen, my dad is a veteran. I can understand that people in the Peace Corps, a Jimmy Carter type who spent a lot of time in things like Habitat for Humanity, Doctors Without Borders, so forth, a teacher. Would I consider that? Well, here's what we're going to have to do. He would have to understand that he has no access to tangibles from me until he can show me how we're going to make this work. Present me with a plan and a track record. Is he good at what he does? Okay. Can we maybe flip that? If you're a master teacher, can we now get you involved with Udemy and Thinkific so that you can put some courses online that are going to help you and market those courses and help you increase your income? I may point out some places to do things to go and just sit back and watch. We might go have some coffee from time to time, but access to my tangibles is going to be off limits. Absolutely not. If you need a motivation, you need a woman's body to be motivated to do anything, you're not ready. You're not qualified and you're silly. Because, these conversations never discuss that, men want women to give them access to their bodies based on their potential, but they never talk about their potential to pass on AIDS. and HPV and all that. It astounds me. I'm 42 years old. I grew up in San Francisco. I have been watching men melt away from AIDS my entire life. And I marvel at how the audacity of Black men in particular to want a woman to just give away everything, including her life, based on their potential, based on, well, I didn't get a chance to do this. No, it amazes me how that never becomes part of the conversation. How, somehow Kevin Samuels, David Carroll, Thomas Sotomayor, and all those guys who think that women, and the Roger Report think that women should just be submissive and humble. And that is not even part of the discussion. You see, I even saved it for the end. No. If anyone, business, church, organization, personally, approaches you as a man wanting to sell you potential, and by the way, gentlemen, this is not a bad idea because, Umar Johnson has a lot of male supporters, and I was reading some of them today, and I'm like, y'all are completely lost because you don't know how to do this either. You need to see that this person knows how to produce return on investment. What's the plan? Does the person have a track record? What is the return on investment he's been returning to other people, therefore, that you know that that investment will be returned to you? How committed, how consistent, how dedicated. Who does he run with so that he has people around him who are either guiding him if he is young, middle aged, still guiding, but doing these things together, and old? Who is he guiding? At 42, a lot of older men, I'm sure that if I were to put myself out there who would be interested, then okay, what do you have to say for being 55 plus? Frankly, if I was willing to marry an older man, I already know one that I would marry. Y'all have heard Sergeant Love. If I was going to do that, I'd just do that. If he would permit it. But he actually loves me. So no, he won't. He's too old. But if I was going to do all that, that could have been done. It's just like, if you aren't measuring up to Sergeant Love, mm-mm. And that's a 3-time Vietnam vet who used his time in the service to put his whole entire family indoors. So you not going to come at me with 50-50. Nope. No. That's no. That is an absolute in all. And see, now, ladies, here's the other thing about this. We control when we fall in love. What I mean by that is you can have ever so many feelings to someone, but you control when you give yourself to someone else. You control when you give your heart away. You know, one of the things that has been very painful for me in relationships that have failed, and even business relationships that have failed, I still care about you, even if I'm not dealing with it. But see, when we get to our intercessory prayer Bible study, which is coming up probably actually next week, it looks like. By the time you hear this, however much I love you, that doesn't mean I'm going to fall. I can't afford to do that. We have a choice in these matters. We do not have to be run away by our own daydreams, lust, and aspiration. A lot of this stuff will stop when we stop it. If a man does not have potential but does not have a plan, does not have a team, does not have a track record, you do not need to give anything to him. And again, men talk about, well, I need motivation, I need inspiration. You go find some men, go read some things about men who have been successful. There are plenty of Black men that have been successful, so that Black men who are serious about learning how to actualize their potential can find them. There are plenty of them available. If you need to read all the way back to Henry Box Brown, is it Henry or William? William, I think it's William Box Brown. Frederick Douglass, Henry Hallett Garnett. And ladies, I'm not saying any of these stories are perfect stories from our perspective, but sometimes men need to find inspiration from men. That's what we're talking about here. There are plenty of successful men. And maybe if you get really brave, you can stop worrying about what color the man is and look at the steps that he made as a man to become successful in this society and stop saying, well, I can't do that because, they won't let me. Nope. Yesterday's reasons can't be today's excuses. I learned a ton of stuff from people who are not Black women to be successful. You can too. It's a choice. So you can bridge the gap between, okay, this is my situation today, and Black women are definitely saying no. But if I don't intend to go offshore, every other woman in America is going to say no too. And maybe if I got my life enough together, even getting ready to go offshore, I might find out that getting it together might actually make me successful here as well. But all this expectation that Black women are going to keep putting money into potential in Black men's enterprises, including their personal romantic enterprises. Y'all saw that thing in Louisville, the protest that wasn't? The answer is increasingly going to be no. But if you want to bridge the gap in your own life or getting ready to be in someone else's life, we've highlighted how you do that already. I'll link to that video. You'll see it up on the screen by the time, well, it'll be over here or over there. It'll be on one side or another. You'll see it. Anyway, y'all have a good day now. Thank you for listening. Goodbye.